Coach, just your initial reaction to the schedule, how it plays out, and who you get to play.
We're excited about the schedule. I mean, we know we're going to play everyone in the SEC at some point, either fall or spring. So we're just pumped to be playing and have the schedule in front of us and the start date. Let's go. Get after it.
What's obviously you play, like you say, you play everybody, and then some teams you play twice. But what's the challenge of turning around the next day and playing the same opponent?
I think the back-to-back is going to be interesting and different, but the NCAA tournament's that way. So I think there's positive and negatives to everything. Recovery is just a change for our team, but I think athletes are adaptable. You know what I mean? Like, we'll figure out our scout. We'll get Colby under control. We'll have plenty of time to get a scout ready based on our match before. So I think it's going to be cool. It's going to be a different experience, but you get to instantly change a game plan, the way you handle an opponent, like back to back. So I think there's a lot of differences, but it's a new way to grow and learn as athletes and as coaches, and just adapt and adjust like we do in matches.
With those back-to-backs, though, Coach, is it more about what you have to do, or is it more about the opponent and specifically game planning for each individual opponent?
I think both. I mean, it's going to be our side anyways. Like, it's always we control what we can control on our side. But defending, maybe we change up our game plan based on tendencies or what they do against our defense or our offense, whatever it is. So there's always going to be some adjustments, but it's always going to come down to us being clean and taking care of the ball on our side.
What's the difference of maybe waxing a team and sweeping them 3-0 versus the other way? How do you talk to your players about a new mindset, new day, no matter if it's a win or a loss going into that second match the next day?
Oh, I thought you meant like recovery. Like, it's going to be way better if we just beat them 3-0 and then go, we have plenty of time to recover.
No, just the aspect of getting over a win. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the mindset that every day of practice is a clean slate. Like, you're never as good as your best win or your win the day before or your loss. You know what I mean? You have to respond and be consistent in all of that. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be the epitome of a clean slate day to day.
When y'all knew that the season was going to get pushed back start time, did that change the way that y'all went about your preseason training and your practice schedules and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been adapting and adjusting our schedule and the way we've been training because we didn't know for a long time. You know what I mean? There were speculations and different dates. So it really was coming down to where our athletes were. And we always talk about meeting them where they're at. Clearly, we hadn't trained or practiced in 5 months, something like that. So it was going to be a build-up anyways. But now, for instance, we're in 8 hours. But we're still training and doing things as a team. We're just coupling it with some individuals. So you're backing off time, but you're still staying in somewhat of the same phase that you're in, 20 hours wise.
How's the fall camp? I guess you're 8 hours, but how are you pleased with the progression so far, Coach?
I think it's been good. So August was the real progression, and we never really did 2-a-days. I think I mentioned that before. But I think it was good for them physically to build up their strength and their endurance again. And now we're starting to push them to play longer. Like, we'll compete. Like, this morning we played. We had practice this morning, and we just straight put jerseys on them. They competed. So it was cool to see them, because I think that's always a change. That's a difference. But seeing how long their actual match competitive endurance is. So we just changed up in that way for sure, because that length of time feels very different than just training or doing an individual for an hour. So we try to switch that up just so they can feel that.
Have you noticed any lack of, or on the other side, like improvement in the competitive edge of your girls without playing a real game in so long?
Yes, it is night and day when they're competing. Like, it may not be against another opponent, but whenever we start 6-on-6, that vibe, like, they can feel it. When they put the uniforms on this morning, like, they didn't know we were doing that. It does. I mean, we do it every year for maroon and white, but that's why we started it now. That feeling is just different when they're in the uniforms and they're playing. And that's something like a mental, how can you control that? How do you respond to that feeling? But you have to learn how to play with all of those intangible things that you don't think about. We don't train that. Hey, that mentally feels like to be in Reed Arena with all the fans, and like you talk about that stuff, but you can't really replicate it until you're in that atmosphere. So that's what we try to do when we do game-like matches like this morning.
What about rotation wise? I mean, you got time still, obviously, but have you figured out if it's Davis and Rush and Talbert, or, I mean, we know we're going to see those girls a lot, but have you figured out the rotation that's best for A&M yet?
We haven't solidified a lineup. I think people have their roles and they have their strengths, so they know who we'll go to, and we talk about that all the time with them, like what their bread and butter is. But no, I wouldn't say we have like a starting lineup yet, and that's where we want to keep it competitive, because we still have time and we want to see them get to their best as individuals so that we can put our best team together. And it's just consistency. I mean, I think a lot of it is our consistency offensively. I mean, we're trying to run a faster offense. The tempo is different than it was last year. So that consistency, but it's how we train. We have to train how we're going to compete, and that's what they noticed today. That feeling is a little different, so you have to get yourself to train at that level every day so that when you get into a match, you're consistent in connecting with your setter.
So we're going to see a completely different game plan from Colby in match 2 of the series. We're going to just completely wipe the slate clean. That's how that works.
I mean, who knows? He's going to get frisky. We could just change it up, put new people in. That's what we do. Every time we play a set, we like basically switch something major in the lineup. So, we like to keep people on their toes. I love the questions though. You guys are so specific. The rotation, I like it.
Any word on how these carry over to the spring? I know I'd asked you that last time. Any more clarification on? We know they're going to count, right? In the spring, these are going to carry over? Okay.
Yep. They're going to count in the spring. And now, again, there's no set dates, but we're hearing more and more from the NCAA when the championship's going to be, when we could start officially competing again in the spring. So, yeah, they will count. That's what we know.